think a lot of it is you have to sit down with the artist and discuss goals with them when you first get with them. When you get a guy who's popping on YouTube or SoundCloud, you know, you can't talk about monetization, you talk about branding, you gotta say, what's up, like, do you wanna make a classic record? Do you wanna make a great song? What kind of career do you see yourself like? Who inspires you? You know, so I think the conversation has to change, and we have to be less of like, with the big bad label and more of education house. Like, you know, when we worked on YG's record, he was doing his thing in LA and he's running around, and I sat down, I'm like, hey, play me your album. And he's like, album? I only know mixtapes. You know what I mean? And I had to sit down and say, listen, let's go to Atlanta, let's stay for 3 months, and let's listen to a bunch of old albums. Let's listen to Life After Death, you never heard that. Let's listen to Ready to Die. Let's listen to all these old records. And it became an education process, you know? And then his goals changed. And it wasn't like, let me drop a mixtape to get hot. It was like, I want to make a classic too. I want to make a great record. And then you get in the studio and then it becomes something else. And you get mustard in the studio and then you're like, yo man, like I want to be the best producer in the world. I want to do this. And it's like, well, we got to make something that's going to rival 2001, or we got to rival Kendrick. And I think the problem with these new artists is they don't feel like they're going to benefit from the label because everybody's talking about monetization and not talking about the art. Like back in the day when you had these guys like Michael Jackson and Prince, they were competing with each other. It wasn't like who's going to sell the most records. It's like who's better. You know what I mean? Who's going to be the dopest? You know what I mean? And that's, we got to get back to the sport of what we're doing, and even with black music, because then, like even the Jeremiah record that you mentioned, Jeremiah's in the studio and he's like, they took me off this Kid Ink record, the main chick, they took me off whatever the other Kid Ink record was. I'm gonna show them I can make a better record, you know? And that's how we came up with Don't Tell Them, you know what I'm saying? Or when we're in the flow in the studio and then we have 3 studios working at the same time. We're trying to make a record about friendship, and Stretch Homie Quan, YG tells them the idea, and they go in the other room, we work on the verse 3 times, we come out with My Nigga, you know what I'm saying? Or when we did Who Do You Love, we got the beat, right? And then Jeezy comes in the studio like, this beat's a hit, I don't care what y'all do to this. So we came up with 4 hooks before we got to Who Do You Love, you know what I mean? Then he did the verse 3 times. Then it took us 20 other sessions just to get the bridge going. You know what I mean? It's because the goals are not about monetization. The goals about we want to be the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.